know who the hell we think we are.
What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection live on the Cageside Press social media platforms, and it's UFC 313 Fight Week. Joining me in a few moments will be Eddie Law. We will have a loaded show for you today, taking a look to the UFC pay-per-view this week and breaking down the card from last weekend as well. So let's get into it. We've got Magomed Ankalaev coming into this one, the number one contender in the light heavyweight division, taking on two-division UFC champion, formerly the middleweight champion, currently the 205-pound champion, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira comes into this one with a 12-2 record, while Magomed Ankalaev comes into this one at 21-1. We're going to wait on Eddie to get his prediction here in a little bit, but I do kind of want to break down the card because I like Magomed Ankalaev's chances at winning this weekend. A lot of people do know that he does have some ground game, but he doesn't necessarily use it in all of his fights that we've seen. When he's had knockout wins over Johnny Walker, or he's gone in there against guys like Jan Blachowicz, he did wrestle with Jan for the final 3 rounds, and that fight ended up becoming a draw. But in those early 2 rounds, he lost a kickboxing match against Jan, which is why the fight was as competitive as what it was. So I think that he's going to have to be very cautious coming in this weekend against Alex Pereira, someone who can obviously get you out of there in one shot. But Magomed Ankalaev is a true number one contender. This is the matchup that everybody has been waiting for over the last couple of years. So I'm very interested to see Magomed Ankalaev come in here and test himself against Alex Pereira. And I think that this is the toughest matchup that Alex Pereira has had in his career as the light heavyweight champion. In his matchup on his way up against Jan Blachowicz, Blachowicz does have some sort of grappling advantage over Pereira, but not to the level of what Magomed Ankalaev would have if he does elect to go to the ground this weekend. I think that's really the story of this fight, whether or not Magomed Ankalaev decides to kickbox with Alex Pereira and leave himself into some of those situations where he can get caught by the light heavyweight champion, or whether he tries to make this a very dirty and gritty fight, put him up against the fence, work for takedowns, and try to get ahead on points that way. I do not see Magomed Ankalaev knocking out Alex Pereira. Sometimes in these matchups, when you're expecting someone to go for a takedown, at times you can get caught on the feet. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, but Magomed Ankalaev does have heavy power like we've seen against Johnny Walker. And even in his last contest against Alexander Rakic, I want to bring up, Magomed Ankalaev did not attempt a takedown in that contest, and Alexander Rakic did win one of the rounds. So that is something to look at for in this contest. But Alex Pereira, one-shot knockout power. We're going to have to see what Eddie thinks when he gets in here, but I do like Magomed Ankalaev's chances. Let's look at DraftKings Sportsbook real quick to see what the odds are this weekend for the main event. We have a pick'em fight virtually, -115 to -105, -115 in favor of the champion, Alex Pereira, -105 for Magomed Ankalaev. So whichever way you go there basically comes back with even money that you're betting. I will wait for Eddie here in the main event, give a little bit of a breakdown of last weekend's card with Manel Kape and Asu Amabayev. That one ended in knockout for Kape in the 3rd round. It was a good victory to get back in the win column for Kape, who has struggled at times against grapplers in the past. We saw him get controlled on the ground against Mohamed Makayev for a substantial amount of time. But in this one, the grappling was not really a problem for Kape. He was able to get things done on the feet. There were eye pokes in that 3rd round that have kind of gone viral since the contest. Unfortunate that in back-to-back UFC fight nights, we have the main events ending with controversy due to eye pokes. That's something that the UFC doesn't want to see. I know they put the new gloves in to effect last year, and they took those away. We're now using the old gloves again. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but over the last 2 weeks, we've seen a significant amount of eye pokes in the main event and co-main events. So we had Manel Kape get it done last weekend against Amabayev. Cody Brundage was able to get the 1st-round knockout over Julian Marquez. I really had a problem with the stoppage there from Mark Smith. He gave Brundage all the time in the world when he was hurt to get back into that fight. And then as Marquez is, protecting himself on the ground, and he was eating punches, there was punishment there, but it didn't seem to me like he gave Julian Marquez the same amount of time. And it seems like what Mark Smith does is he inches closer in on these stoppages. It's like he's in a defensive basketball stance and he's closing out on somebody. And at that point, he never retreats. And I've seen that in his last 2 stoppages. He just keeps inching closer and closer and closer to what's going on. And I thought that he should have given Marquez a little bit more time there. He was covering the head. He was taking some punishment, obviously, to the gloves. But I had a little bit of a bone to pick with that stoppage. I think 2 or 3 more in Julian Marquez, would have been more decisive of a victory for Cody Brundage. And that was a good fight. It was a back and forth, entertaining contest for as long as it lasted. So credit to Cody Brundage picking up a win and moving to 11-6 in his career. Now, the next 2 fights we're going to talk about quickly before Eddie joins us and we go into our UFC 313 breakdown coverage is Nasrat Haqparast and Esteban Ribovics, and then Haider Emil and William Gomez. I think that both of these contests were, very competitive, and depending upon how you scored it, controversial as well. So in the Nasrat Haqparast fight, we had Nasrat and Esteban both land over 130 significant strikes. The total strike statistics in this one were 149 to 135 in favor of Ribovics. Significant strikes, 147 to 135 in favor of Esteban as well. Now, Nasrat did attempt 5 takedowns. 4 of them were defended by Esteban, so he did a great job of takedown defense there. Only 49 seconds of control time for Nasrat Haqparast. So it really depends on how you score these round by round. I had Nasrat winning the first round. Round 2, I had going to Esteban, and round 3 was obviously very competitive as well. So I thought that was close. I'm going to be interested to see what Eddie thinks was his scoring. I had to lean in the favor of Haqparast, but I could have seen it going the other way as well. So great win for Haqparast. He's always in these contests, like with Dan Hooker and Ribovics. He's always in there with these dangerous guys and is just very tough, seasoned veteran who can overcome a lot of adversity to land his shots on the inside. He does great with his boxing and shots to the body against the fence. And does good work in the clinch as well. So Nasrat Haqparast moving to 18-5. Esteban Ribovics drops to 14-2 after last weekend. So then we had Haider Emil and William Gomez. This one was awesome. So Haider Emil is trained out there by Gilbert Melendez, a great, former champion, former Strikeforce champion, former UFC title challenger. Haider Emil's pressure is amazing. What he's able to do to these guys who, in the case of William Gomez, is 6 foot to 6'1" here in the featherweight division. He got inside the range on Gomez like nobody I've seen before. When me and Eddie talked last week, I thought that Gomez was going to be able to pick Emil apart from the outside and really use that good jab and leg kicks that he's known for. He tried it in this contest, but Emil was just able to get inside that jab. He ran through any low leg kicks or any damaging punches that were coming his way and was able to get to Emil, who seemed like he was fighting off of his back foot against the cage for a majority of the contest. So I thought it was a great job by Haider Emil, a great performance, maybe a breakout performance, as William Gomez is somebody who I rated very highly coming into this contest. Gomez had not lost since 2016 and was on a 12-fight winning streak himself. His last loss was in 2016 to Morgan Charrier, who is, I hope I pronounced that name right, but he is a good UFC fighter and on the roster as well, and a former standout over there in Cage Warriors. So, I really rated William Gomez highly, and Haider Emil goes in there with a distinct height and reach disadvantage and was able to get inside on Gomez and get the job done. He just was the more aggressive fighter, has an iron chin. And it's not like Haider Emil is going out here and has one-shot knockout power and he's putting guys away necessarily. But he did do a good job of working to the body of Gomez, pushing him up to the fence, and landed more than Gomez as well. So we're going to look at the official striking statistics here. And Haider Emil, as I mentioned, outlanded William Gomez 164 to 116, cashing as a plus 200 underdog and keeping his undefeated record intact. Well, when we look at significant strikes here, it also favored Hyder Emil 115 to 101. There was one takedown landed by Emil on 6 attempts. Like I mentioned, he pushed Gomez up to the cage for a large portion of the contest and was able to control him there. He had 2 minutes and 43 seconds of control time. And, well, here we go. We got Eddie. What's going on, man?
Surviving, brother. Surviving was good.
So I was kind of just breaking down a little bit of the Manel Kape and Amabayev card from last weekend. There were some split decisions there, but we'll get into that in the back half of our show now that you're here, and we'll just get right into UFC 313 if that's cool with you.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so I was talking about the main event with Alex Pereira, champion, coming in here against number one contender Magomed Ankalaev. I think that Ankalaev, the story of this fight is whether he's going to be able to take this fight to the ground or whether he elects to try to do it. When you go back and look at the fight with Alexander Rakic, he didn't attempt one takedown. When you look at his fight with Johnny Walker, didn't attempt one takedown. We've only seen him really grapple in the last 3 rounds against Jan Blachowicz. But it's interesting to me because Jan Blachowicz, as I mentioned before you came on, had a grappling advantage over Pereira, right? Now, Ankalaev is a much better grappler than Blachowicz. But will he elect to do it this weekend? If he doesn't, Eddie, I think he's going to go to sleep. But I'm interested to see what your opinion is on this matchup.
Yeah, well, I'm with you on that. I think his best path to victory is takedown, right? We've seen Alex Pereira get taken down by a decent brisk win, so it's not like it can't be done. It can absolutely be done, and I think he will be able to do it. Now, can he finish Alex on the ground? Can he, if it turns into a jiu-jitsu matchup, can Alex hold his own, or will he, be pushed or have to keep it on the feet? I'm wondering if Ankalaev is going to let the ego take over, right? Because Ankalaev can strike. Ankalaev has shown his ability to strike and get knockouts and all kinds of stuff, right? Maybe not in the fashion that we would like to see it happen, but still he could do it. So for people to dismiss him on the feet just like it's nothing is a little short-sighted. But I think you're right. I think a lot of it is going to have to do with the fact that he's going to have to try and get the fight to the ground. And if he can't, more than likely he's getting knocked out. Might be later in the fight, but he's probably going to get knocked out.
Yeah, and when we saw Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill, both of those guys are really good strikers as well. So it's not like Alex Pereira hasn't fought, powerful guys in the past. Now, Ankalaev does have better grappling than both Jamal and Khalil. Neither one of them went for takedown attempts. Do you think Alex Pereira is finally going to have to defend one here?
Oh, sure. I mean, why wouldn't you try it at least, right?
Yeah.
Like you should at least try it. At the very least, you should try it. But whether, if that's even like something that actually happens, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, in the fight. Because what's going to happen too is Alex Pereira is going to dictate where this fight starts off anyway. Right? He's a champ. You got to take the fight to him. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to wait and see. Hey, I'm very... And that's a really good point Scotty just made. If you want to put that back up there,
yeah,
that's a big deal. We're at the start of Ramadan, right?
It just started in I think in the last week of February, wasn't
it? Yeah. So we just started, right? Mm-hmm. And if you guys know about Ramadan, they don't eat anything all day. Muslims do not eat anything all day. They don't eat anything. I don't even know if they drink water or not. They probably do. Hopefully they do. But I don't know all the rules. Apologies for that. But that's a huge deal. How's he going to look on the scale? Because he does cut the 205, and that is not an easy cut. And Ankalaev I've seen him in person. He's a big boy.
Yeah. And what's the muscle going to look like? Is he going to be depleted a little bit muscle-wise because he's not getting the protein in the meat? I don't know. But at the same time, this is probably the best portion of Ramadan to catch him in. If he was fighting maybe at the end of the month or, in April there, then maybe we would see a depleted version of Magomed Ankalaev. But this is his one opportunity. He's been waiting for this for so long. And Scotty says it started Saturday, no food, no water until sundown. So, we'll see. It's only been here about a week. So I don't think that this is going to be, some depleted version of Magomed Ankalaev. I think he's going to come in here to the best of his abilities. And maybe that makes it a little bit easier for him to make weight. And it's just kind of like a earlier fast.
So here's what I'm wondering. If you start off, he said start off on Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. No food, no water until sundown. If you start off on Saturday, this is relatively new, right? Mm-hmm. You're starting it on fight week, basically, Right. So did Ankalaev say, screw it, I'm gonna simulate it like a week early, get my body used to how awful this is gonna feel. Am I just gonna use this as my weight cut? Screw it, see what happens. Or or I really don't. I mean, look, these guys are. Islam might be one of the most like dedicated religions. Like they do not play around. They do not break rules for the most part.
We saw Bilal Muhammad fight during Ramadan last year against Leon Edwards too, and it didn't necessarily look like he was depleted. Right. I don't know. Maybe these guys know how to handle Ramadan because they've been doing it since they were young kids, and it's not like something new to them, and they expect it. But
keep in mind, these guys know approximately what time they're going to fight. And main event is absolutely going to be after sundown. Has he been working on that? Right. All right, cool. As soon as sun goes down, do I eat? How much do I eat? Do I eat this much? Do I drink water? Like there's a lot of things you can manage and you can simulate. It's just not ideal to do it during Ramadan, certainly not during the first week.
Yeah. So what do we got for a prediction with this one, Eddie? I'm going to say that Magomed Ankalaev is going to win this one by points. I don't think he's going to finish Pereira. I do think that he's going to be able to take this fight to the ground. Pereira has not fought anyone who's attempted to grapple with him since Jan Blachowicz. I think that if he elects to do it, and like you mentioned, I think it was a great point, if he does not fight with his ego and takes this fight to the ground, I think he's got a good chance to win by decision. Odds makers have this as an even money fight. It's a pick 'em at FanDuel Sportsbook and DraftKings -115 to -105. It's about even both ways. How are you going in this one, Eddie?
And boy, time we trust. That guy hasn't let me down yet. I don't think he's going to start this weekend. I'm going to say knockout probably. It won't be first round. I think it'll be third round. I think it'll be a third round knockout only because, we're going to wait and see what Ankalaev does. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, and trust me, Pereira's going to be training everything. All right. He's going to, I'm sure he's watching, footage and all that. Now, there's not a whole lot of footage on Ankalaev shooting on people. That's a problem. That's a massive problem. Right. So are you going to be working uppercuts? Are you working knees? Are you, how are you going to react to the feints? It's all a beautiful puzzle to be solved. And I think Poatan has the power to do it. So we'll wait and see. We'll have to wait and see here. If he wins, Poatan continues his run towards probably a John Jones matchup. Come on, dude. If he knocks out Ankalaev, that is too sexy of a matchup to be like, hey, Tom, how about
John and Tom if he gets
that's what I'm saying. I mean, hey, Tommy, we're gonna give you this guy and we'll pay you off here, and this will be it. You fight either John Jones for sure next, or John's gone and you're the main, the actual champion. There's a lot of things that come out of this fight. All great props to the UFC.
Yeah, and even if Ankalaev wins, you have a new champion, new matchups, and fresh blood there in the top of your division. So this is a win-win for the UFC. Either your biggest star and most commercial star, continues to expand and explode, or you get a new champion in Magomed Ankalaev who touches a new base of the world over there that has many viewers as well. But moving on to the co-main event of UFC 313, we've got an all-action contest on short notice. Rafael Fiziev, 12-3. Comes in to take on Justin Gaethje for the second time. This is a rematch of a contest that they had on pay-per-view a few years ago. Gaethje won that one by decision. That was a very close contest. I had the first round scored for Fiziev in that, but Gaethje puts on the pressure and puts the foot on the gas pedal and gets the next two rounds, earning a decision by the judges. What do you make of this, Eddie? I think this is the best they could have done on short notice. We obviously wanted to see Topuria maybe go up there against Gaethje, but it's going to be hard to get one of your top stars to fight on a week's notice, especially as an undefeated guy who doesn't want to tank that record like Topuria. Fiziev obviously wants this rematch against Gaethje. I think that Gaethje's coming in here off a bad knockout loss. We don't know what the chin looks like. We just saw Alexander Volkanovski when he got knocked out by Islam, immediately came back to soon in his fight with Topuria, got knocked out again. Is that the same problem we're going to see with Justin Gaethje this weekend? Is Fiziev, the dangerous striker, going to go in there and take out Gaethje and get a little bit of revenge for the first matchup?
I think there's a good chance he does. I think, Gaethje's up there. Like you said, the main thing is the bad knockout. I mean, he got last second savagely put down. Like he was asleep before he hit the ground type of knockout, right? That was a scary one. I'm trying to pull up exactly the last time he fought because that's also a big deal. Yeah.
It was that Max Holloway fight.
At 300, yeah, 300. Yeah. I just forget exactly what date that was. So that was April last year. So a little under a year or a couple months under a year. Okay, that's a decent amount of time.
It is. That's a good layoff. That's a good layoff.
Yeah. mind you, I'm super bummed it's not Dan Hooker. And I think Robert Whitaker made that point on his podcast very exactly how I felt. He was just like, man, I'm glad that fight's not happening because I like both guys. And I think someone was actually going to die in there. I think somebody was going to die in that cage. And I like both guys too much for that to happen. So I'm glad that fight's not happening. I slightly feel that way. I still wish we would have gotten it. It was, it's a badass fight. But in terms of Steve coming in on short notice, that guy never stops training. He's in Thailand, I think he's most of the time, right? Thailand and the Thais.
Yeah, I think he's a striking coach out there at Tiger Muay Thai.
And the Thais, like the Thai, the Thailand culture. If you okay, just very short history, not history lesson, but pay attention to something, folks. Watch one championship on Friday mornings. It's mostly Thai fighters, right? Mostly Thai fights. Okay, these guys go hard. That is not the norm in Thailand. Okay, on one championship, they're trying to kill each other because there's 50 grand on the line almost every fight. If you get a knockout, most of the, like 90% of the time, you get 50 G's, right? So I don't know how the fuck they're paying for it, but Amazon, but. In regular Thai culture, in regular, you go to Lumpini, you go to whatever stadium over there, right? Those guys are not going hard because these guys are fighting every single weekend, sometimes multiple times a week. Because if you get injured, you can't fight, right? So they're going hard. That being said, their training is insane year round. They don't stop. Like the training, they do it safely. They're some of the safest trainers, and you got knuckleheads here and there and everything, right? But they're training all the time. So I fully believe he's been training. His engine has not been stalling. He's been just humming real good. And I think, looking at the Gaethje knockout, looking at what's on the line here, I think he has a really good shot at making this happen. And I think that's why he jumped on the chance to do it. I'm sure he got a bag, which is good for him. And he's got a high profile fight in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And actually in an interview I did today with Linton Vassell, he went to go train in Thailand, and he said that he stayed out there for 6 to 8 weeks. And it was, like you were saying, a completely different training format from what he was getting at Killcliff. He said he could just relax, get his body right, and then also sharpen up the tools with the pads and stuff. So that will be on our YouTube page coming up. You guys can, mark your calendar for that if you want to see that interview. But in terms of this matchup right here, I think it comes down to Rafael Fiziev really wanting to get that win back. Justin Gaethje, is he going to go in there with the same game plan to just march forward and bite down on the mouthpiece against Fiziev? I think there might be too much tread on the tires this time around for that game plan to get it done. I'm going to go with Fiziev in this one by decision. I do have a quick question for you, Eddie, because the original Hooker fight was 5 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is this still 5 rounds, or did we shorten it to 3 due to the last second replacement?
Let me check for you real quick, but I believe it went down to 3 rounds on Fiziev's request, which is 3 rounds.
And 3 rounds. If we're a 3-round fight here, I'm going to favor Fiziev by decision. I don't think Justin Gaethje is going to be shooting for takedowns, and I think in a kickboxing fight, Fiziev's going to go in there and make the adjustments from the first one. But how do you see it, Eddie?
I think. I have a hard time picking against Fiziev, but I'm picking Gaethje on a heart pick. This is a heart pick, folks. Safford, Arizona boy, I can't go against him. But Gaethje did go. Ooh, I can't remember who he was talking to. I apologize if you interviewed him and I can't remember who you are. But it was probably Hawaiian or some shit. But anyway, he said, this fighting safe shit's not working for me. Like holding back's not working for me. He goes, I'm going back to being the World Series of Fighting Gaethje. You guys watch just after the show, folks. YouTube, Gaethje versus Palomino is 1 and 2. If you want to see World Series of Fighting Gaethje, literally trying to die just to beat the motherfucker. I was there for both in person. I don't remember writing a damn thing down or nothing. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And because it's a wild thing. So I expect Gaethje to come out like he's going to war. Finish Fiziev. I think he'll finish Fiziev and probably like 2nd, 3rd round after just a brutal fight. And then, who knows what was in the cards for Justin Gaethje. That guy's never going to be short on primetime matchups.
Yeah, so I do have a question for you for the point you just brought up of Gaethje saying that, he needs to bite down on the mouthpiece, get back to the old World Series of fighter, Justin Gaethje. I don't think that was his problem, man. I really don't. I don't think that he lost to Max Holloway because he just wasn't aggressive enough or he wasn't tough enough like he used to be. I think that he went in there and played Max Holloway's game, right? He's a Division I wrestler. He went to school to wrestle in college. Up until the age of 20, that's what Justin Gaethje did. He wrestled. He left all those skills in the locker room and decided to kickbox with one of the best kickboxers that we have in the UFC. That's why he lost that contest.
Yep.
He didn't lose that contest because he wasn't tough enough, or he proved how tough he was in the final 10 seconds of that contest, knowing that he didn't have anything left in the tank and what the probable outcome was if he didn't land that one crazy shot, right? And he got put down for it. So I don't think there's any quit to Justin Gaethje. I don't think there's ever been any quit to Justin Gaethje, and I don't think that's really necessarily the problem. I think that he needs to be able to land on the feet. He's got to be able to mix those takedowns in there to get people to think that something else might be coming. I thought that against Holloway, it was just that he was too one-dimensional. What do you think about that?
I think you're onto something there for sure. But I think what Gaethje meant, and because I've seen, we've all seen the evolution of Gaethje's fighting. First few fights, in where we could all see him, he was savage. He was just he was throwing for whatever. If your head was anywhere near him, he was trying to kill you. That's what it was, right? And then, got up there, got more experience, got more training, up with Trevor Whitman and everybody else he was training with now. He's more measured. He's not weak. He's still a tough guy. He's still, he's still okay getting into brawls. But if you notice the difference between the earlier brawls and these brawls, they're a lot more measured and a lot more technical, for lack of a better word. Now, I'm with you. Mix it up. I do not want to see, as fun as it would be, I don't want to see a stand and bang for 3 rounds type of fight with a guy has a lot less thread on the tire, or a lot less miles on the tires, right? Like Fiziev. So I want to see, they go out for the first round, Gaethje, figures him out, see how he's feeling, and in the second round, come out and mix it up. Go for takedowns, put him on the fence, put him on his ass. Fiziev will get back to his feet, that's fine. But let him know, like, I can't take you down whenever I want to. All right. And then make him think about those takedowns, and then the striking will be a lot easier to handle, or a lot easier to throw at him. But man, if he goes out there, tries to just stand and bang with Fiziev, like, he still could win. But we saw what happened with Max Holloway too.
Yeah. And here's my thing, though. If he does get him to the ground, he's got some of the heaviest hands in the history of the lightweight division, right? We've never even seen the ground and pound of Justin Gaethje.
Never needed it, yeah.
Yeah, we've never seen him in half guard raining punches down like he's Tito Ortiz or something like that. But maybe he would be fantastic at that, but we've never even necessarily seen that in the contest. So, fight fans, we've got official odds for you at +135 for Gaethje. He is an underdog this weekend. Fiziev coming around at the number of -160 to -162, depending upon where you go. He is going to be a short notice favorite in this fight. If you want Justin Gaethje, you can get him at an underdog number. But moving along down the card here, we do have another lightweight contest between very athletic and tall strikers. 6'3" Jalen Turner meets 6'3" Ignacio Bahamondes. Jalen Turner comes into this one 14-8. While Bahamondes picked up a win at UFC Noche over Manel Torres and comes into this one at 16-5. Bahamondes is from Chicago. He's one of the slickest strikers we have in the UFC, uses his length not only to just outpoint fighters on the feet, but is very devastating in his creative attacks as well. Has a spinning heel kick knockout over Roosevelt Roberts, and trains with Bilal Muhammad. What do you think of the prospect Ignacio Bahamondes? And for Jalen Turner, he had that win over Bobby Green that was very impressive. But since then, it's been, far and few between, losing to Moicano amongst others on his run.
Jalen Turner to me has been one of the most disappointing lightweights in a while. And that's a lot of people would hear that and be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? He just got here. Because he's been around since 2018, 2019, something like that. And so people don't think about the fact that he's had a lot of fights. I mean, at one point he had like a 5 or 6 fight win streak, right? Then gets split decision by Gamrot, split decision by Dan Hooker. He's just doing his up and down thing, right?
Yeah.
Bahamondes, meanwhile, I'm with you. He's one of the more exciting young guys. He's like 26, 27, but he's one of the more exciting young guys in the division. If I remember correctly, he dropped Manuel Torres with a nasty right hand and beat the dog shit out of him.
First round knockout. And Manel's 15-2 coming into that.
Manuel Torres, they call him a loco, right? Like, crazy. He's a crazy Manuel Torres, and he was there for it. And he chose kill or be killed, and Manuel got killed. But it was a very impressive fight from Bahamondes with the fact that he's able to use his athleticism, his power, and his accuracy the way he did against Torres and everyone else that he's fought. Now he's fighting a guy his size, his height, attributes.
That's what I was about to say. Eddie. I'm looking at the record of him now. How many guys do you have in here that are the same height as Jalen Turner or even 6 foot tall? The only one I see is Dan Hooker, and he lost that contest. Mm-hmm. So if you look back on the record of Jalen Turner, there are some names there that are going to give you cause for concern if you want to pick or bet on him this weekend. Has losses to Matt Frivola, has losses to Dan Hooker. And obviously, I think the one that stands out the most to everybody and is out there, in most recent was the Renato Moicano fight. He had Moicano beat at UFC 300. All he had to do was go down and land a couple elbows on him like he did against Bobby Green. And, we're not talking about Jalen Turner being 14-8. We're talking about how great Jalen Turner is, and maybe he would have had another contest, put him into a top 5, top 7 type ranking after he beat Moicano. Look and see what Moicano got after that win. He got some really big contests, and it's just kind of, like you were saying, it's one of these things where he looks really great. We talk about the talent. We talk about how fast he is, how lengthy he is. And then he goes in there and gets beat by a guy like Gamrot, who he's given up 8 inches to. So I really can't pick Jalen Turner. I'm going to go with Ignacio Bahamondes in this one by decision, but Jalen Turner has been chinned 4 times in his career as well. So a knockout could happen.
Ignacio by knockout. Savage, 3rd round knockout. Jalen Turner is going to do what he usually does. Oh, I feel good. I look good in the first round. All right, cool. I'm going to keep doing the same motion in the 2nd round. Oh, shit, I got beat up in the 2nd round. All right, cool. I'm going to make some adjustments. Oh, I'm like 10 steps behind on my adjustments. I got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I could see he's tricky. Bahamondes is tricky, man. When you see the spinning techniques, he's very creative. I don't think Turner's fought a striker like this.
He has not. No, not a guy with this kind of power. Okay, look at Jalen Turner's build compared to Ignacio. Like, they look similar. Okay, but Jalen Turner is lacking a little bit of muscle here. I would not muscle, but a little bit of power, I think, compared to Bahamondes. I might be completely wrong on that. Just heads up. But I think, look, I'll tell you right now, if Jalen Turner loses this fight, just hit the weight room, bro. Get up to 170. You don't need to be fighting 55ers.
Yeah, I think that even if he was at 170, his length, he'd be a very lengthy fighter up there as well. We see Randy Brown and guys like that have good success at 170 pounds. I think he'd fit right in there as well. But we both got Bahamondes in this one. The official betting statistics in this fight, very close odds throughout the card. There is money to be made this weekend, fight fans. -130 for Ignacio Bahamondes, +110 for Jalen Turner. So you can actually get Alex Pereira, Justin Gaethje, and Jalen Turner at very good odds if you want to put a parlay with some of your favorite fighters together. But moving down the card here, one of the fights that not everybody's necessarily talking about, a women's strawweight contest between Amanda Lemos and Isman Luciendo. Now, I like Luciendo in this one. She's a lot younger. Lemos has been, hit and miss. Sometimes she looks good against Mackenzie Dern, but some of the other very aggressive strikers, she does struggle with at times as well. But she leaves it all out there. Luciendo likes to stand and bang herself. I believe she has around 8 knockout wins on her record. So this could be a very entertaining women's contest. Quickly, who do you have in this one, Eddie? I'm going to go with Luciendo by points.
Luciendo TKO on the ground, takes her down, knocks her down, whatever you want to call it. Amanda Lemos' time is over.
37 versus I think 23 it is.
Yep. And I think Luciendo's got Yasmin has shown the ability to drop people and land power shots and everything. And it's like she's been training with Jessica Andrade or some shit. All right, like straight up. And I think Amanda Lemos, like you said, has been getting hit. She gets hit. She's gotten hit. The longer she's gone, the more she's gotten hit. And I can't tell if there's some kind of regression going on or girls are catching up to her, but she's getting hit more and more. And I think Yasmin's going to find that chin, drop her, and then finish her on the ground.
Yeah, Luciendo just fought Marina. Yeah, so one of the things when I was researching this fight is the Marina Rodriguez. Both of these girls have fought Marina. Amanda stopping Marina Rodriguez and Luciendo going to a split decision with her. What do you think of that? And do you think it was kind of the experience of Rodriguez that played a factor in Luciendo going to such a tight contest? And does that give you a little, cause for concern about picking Luciendo?
I mean, look, with Rodriguez, it's like she got comfortable being Marina Rodriguez and thinking that she's like the best and everything. And then who she lose to, that was like the big wake up. The Amanda Lemos fight.
Lemos got knocked out.
Yeah. Then when she got knocked out by Lemos, she was just like, oh yeah, I'll be back. What she like She's like 1-4, or 1-5
in her last 5. Yep.
That's exactly it. You know who she beat? I know who she beat. You know who she beat? She's retired now. I'll give you that hint. In the smoke show still.
Michelle
Watterson, right, bro?
Watterson? Okay.
Michelle Watterson. Still a smoke show. Man.
Karate hottie.
Like fine wine. All right, congratulations. All right. But either way, she beat her. All right, and that was it. That's the last win. Verna decision there. Amanda Chinder, Jessica Andrade, and Yasmin Sundar took her to split. Can Marina Rodriguez, does she know how to survive? Yeah, but she's also 37. Okay.
Yeah.
Also 37. And so look, all in all, you put it all together. It doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for Amanda Lemos. This is when we start seeing the win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Well, up next for Amanda is lose, 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 lose. See ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. Man.
At 37 years old, that's just, we've seen the fighters progress and go through their careers and stuff. Amanda Lemos was a very aggressive, explosive striker at one point in her UFC run, but maybe it has passed her.
She'll get picked up. Donna pick her up and
GFL, somebody will.
GFL already drafted her. She just don't know yet. Exactly.
Moving along here, fight fans, we have another lightweight contest. The 155-pounders are on full display this weekend. We've got King Green returning, all action Bobby Green. 32-16 is his record, facing Fighting Nerds product Mauricio Huffy. Huffy kind of struggled last time out. Everybody was really high on him. He did end up picking up that win, but at the same time, he wasn't the killer that everybody was promoting him to be necessarily, like Protest or some other people at his gym. But he does come from a good camp in the Fighting Nerds. Of their male prospects, I don't believe anybody's lost over the last 2 years. I believe it's Huffy, Gene Silva, Protest, and Barallo are all undefeated. So I got Mauricio Huffy in this one. I think there's going to be a little bit of a length problem for Bobby Green. And we've seen Bobby Green kind of get chinned at times against guys that we didn't think. Like, look, the Jalen Turner contest, yeah, that's going to be tough. You're 5'10", you're fighting a guy who's 6'3". But in Huffy here, I just think that he's on the way up. Bobby's on the way out. I think Bobby does best against wrestlers who can't get him to the ground. Bobby has good takedown defense, like when we see what Grant Dawson, able to chin him, doesn't try and take him to the ground, and some other guys that can't get him to the ground as well. But against really high-level strikers, I don't think Bobby Green is necessarily a great matchup for a guy like Mauricio Huffy. I'm going to take Huffy in this one by knockout in the second round.
Wow. Sorry, right? Wrong pipe, right? As you
no, you're all good. You're all good.
All right. I would like to think that Kyle Bahayo, my boy Jake, what's up, boy?
What's going on, Jake?
I would like to think Kyle Bahayo is like Batman in the Batcave, right? Albert's behind him making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the rest of the Fighting Nerds. Everyone's got their fucking goggles on or glasses on, all that shit. And Kyle is just masterminding a game plan to maul Bobby Green. King Green. So I know your name is King Green. To maul Bobby Green. Okay. His mama called him Bobby. I don't give a fuck. Anyway. But it's hard to bet against these guys. And we already knew Mo Rufy, Mo kills already. You know what I mean? And you put all that together, that entire team they're just surgical with game planning. King Green comes forward, relies on his toughness. Hands are always down, relies on the fact that he can take a shot. I think we're going to find out he can't take any more shots. Not that he can't take any more shots, but I think if he takes too many shots against Mo Rufy, it's going to be scary, just a scary knockout, I think.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't the same Bobby Green that was going in there and beating Josh Thompson. This isn't the same Bobby Green who we saw in his initial run. He has been, beaten badly by some guys recently, including Jalen Turner. That one was nasty. We really, we're concerned for Bobby's health, quite frankly, after that contest. And Mauricio Huffy is one of those guys who's, is explosive and violent as they come in the UFC. 11 wins by knockout. One thing, the James Lontop matchup. James is a very tough dude, right? Mm-hmm. And all credit to him for hanging in that contest. Did you see some holes in the game of Mauricio Huffy in that James Lontop contest? Or do you think James just rose to a level, because he knew the level of opponent that he was facing? Do you think that, he kind of rose himself to meet that?
I think it was that part. I think he rose up. I think he rose up. And this is not shitting on Bobby Green. I am not shitting on Bobby Green. But we are in 2025 and 2026. Okay. Think of like the NFL. Think about the NBA. but mostly the NFL. Stick with the NFL, okay? Tom Brady ain't nobody's quarterback anymore, okay? Tom Brady ain't there, Peyton Manning in there, all the quarterbacks and all the players we grew up with that were in there playing, Jason Kelsey, all these guys that we grew up in for years thinking, man, this Sunday I get to watch so-and-so play, and I get to watch so-and-so play. I get to watch Larry Fitzgerald play. I get to watch Kurt Warner play. I get to watch, Patrick Peterson in a Cardinal uniform and not a fucking Viking uniform later on. Like, the times are changing. It's the changing of the guard. Now, it happens every year in MMA, but this is the year we're going to see, I think, in my opinion, a massive drop-off in stars, or at least names falling off. And I think King Green's going to be one of them. And I think it's going to be guys like Mo Ruffy. It's going to be guys like Daniel Zellhuber. There's going to be guys like we saw Esteban Hayrovics having an amazing fight. He won that fight. I don't give a shit what anyone says.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I was going to say I wanted to get your opinion on
that fight. But anyway, they won't get a dick. It kissed my ass on that one, right? And Hayrovics won that shit. Anyway, but you're going to see all these guys start becoming the new stars. And the Diego Lopez's are going to go from he's a good prospect to he's that dude.
Yeah.
Those
just
kind of
look
guys.
at Paddy Pimblett, the last guy that Bobby Green fought, choked out by Paddy Pimblett. And that was easy sailing for Paddy. That was one of the easiest contests we've seen him in. And as I go back and look at it, Eddie, you made a great point. And I think there's going to be a huge changing of the guard here in these divisions, especially in lightweight. The lower division, speed is the last thing to go. Yeah. Bobby Green has relied on speed. He made his UFC debut, Eddie, at UFC 156.
Oh my God.
Aldo versus Edgar in 2013. So Bobby Green has been in this promotion for 12 years, countless fights. I think, like you mentioned, tread on the tires. I'm going Mo Huffy in this one by knockout.
There you go. I'm going Mo Huffy, same thing, knockout. And again, I love Bobby Green. Could Bobby Green turn back the clock and give us a classic one? Absolutely. But again, I'm telling you, people stop looking at Kyle Ohio like he doesn't have a lot to do with these fighting nerds. Stop looking at that man like
great camp. I thought he was in contention for Coach of the Year last year.
He should have been. I mean, straight up should have been. Honestly, I argue he should have gotten it. Who got it? Was it Eric?
Was it Ray for having Marab? And
it must have been Ray, because I had it Ray, Kayo, and then Nixick.
I think that's how I had it too.
So and I had Ray just because of Marab, honestly, just because of those guys. But in terms of a full team, I think Kyle Ohio is a mad genius. All right, he's gonna find a way to get this W for these guys. I just love how that camp works. That camp is amazing, and we're gonna see Mo. We're gonna see Mo do something crazy this weekend.
Yeah, and even though these guys can't even speak English, they're getting over with the American audiences with the glasses. They got protests over there smoking cigarettes and knocking fools out. And we got Mo Huffy doing the same thing. So this is going to be an all-action contest. Somebody's going to go to sleep in this one. Fight fans, don't blink. But moving along, we have another contest that might end early too, a heavyweight matchup between ranked contender Curtis Blades and former interim title challenger Curtis Blades and Rizvan Kuniev, who fight fans will not know if they have not watched the PFL. He is making his UFC debut, holds wins over Renan Ferreira, and is a big Russian guy. Let's just say that he did pop hot for steroids a couple fights ago, which is the reason he was released by the PFL, and is kind of confusing for why the UFC picked him up altogether. But they are throwing him to a guy in Blades this weekend who I think is a stylistic nightmare for most grapplers. When you see Blades fight Jalton Almeida or other guys who attempt to take him to the ground, Blades is a former junior college national champion. He is one of the hardest heavyweights to take down in the UFC that I have seen. He's almost impossible to put on his back unless you rocked him on the feet like Aspinall did first. But I think that Kuniev is going to try and get this one to the ground, and Curtis Blades is just going to be too fast for him. I got Curtis Blades in this one by knockout. I think that the UFC kind of booked this as a gotcha fight. They're going to say, hey, look, this guy beat Renan Ferreira over in the PFL. We're going to bring him in here and have one of our mid-tier contenders knock him out and put him out. And we're going to just show, the level of difference between maybe PFL and the UFC. But who knows, maybe Kuniev is taking some supplements in between fighting with the PFL and the UFC, and he comes back with a reformed body. But I got Curtis Blades in this one.
Kuniev had to take steroids to compete in the fucking PFL, bro.
Before Ngannou.
In the PFL. Guys, I wish I could zoom in on my laptop. All right, but look at in the fucking PFL. Tells you everything you need to know about this man. He's going to get knocked the holy fuck out this weekend. All right, and we'll never hear about Rizvan Kuniev ever again. Now, if you pull some crazy shit off, hey, all credit to you. I won't think it's clean ever, right? But your fat ass has to take steroids. Why, bro? You're a giant man. Goddamn.
4 of them. He popped hot for 4 steroids.
Donnie, are you serious right now, bro? Do you not check your guys?
Remember they had like 3 years ago, they had like 3 of their champions pop hot out of that tournament. And they cut the guys. They're like, this is ridiculous. What do you got? So, I mean, credit to them there for
we had no idea. Oh, fuck out of here. If I look, I'll say this right now with my whole chest. If I was Don Davis, I'd hope all my guys are riding.
But what can we say about Rizvan, Eddie? It's like the guy's been off for 2 years. We last saw him compete in the PFL back when he was in, all right shape. We see him here in the photo on the UFC website. That doesn't necessarily look like a monument to physical perfection. So, Curtis Blades is a good athlete. He's a good wrestler. I think he's going to be able to stop the takedown. And when you see what he did against Almeida and other guys he's hung with on the feet that are grapplers, look, Alistair Over and guys like that, he's done well. So I'm going to take Curtis Blades in this one.
Best case scenario, Curtis Blades first round savage knockout. Worst case scenario, Curtis Blades third round TKO after he tires out Fat Boy over here because he can't fucking put the Oreos down or whatever the equivalent is in Russia. Look, man,
tiramisu. They're always remember they're missing the way for the tiramisu.
I'll say this right now, okay? People that watch me on this show and watch me on the other shows because I'm usually hosting, always have been pointing out recently the fact that I'm a little different when I'm not the one leading the show because I can say what the fuck I want now, motherfuckers. That's why I'm not driving the bus. Brett is. All right, this ain't my show. He's asking me questions. I'm answering, motherfuckers. Yeah. All right. So yeah, Fat Boy's gonna fuck up. And Curtis Blades is gonna either gas him out and knock him out by the third or knock him out in the first round. Either way, that's that. Now, just to play devil's advocate here, can you imagine Curtis Blades loses this fight? How embarrassing that would be. Take him out of the rankings at that point. You can't be losing against Fat Boy.
That's what I'm saying. This is like, hey, Curtis, you've shown us before that you're
a trap fight.
Here, but like, are they going to release? Look what they did with Jairzinho. They released him recently off of a loss. So, I mean, if Curtis goes in here and for lack of a better term, makes the UFC look bad, losing to Kuniev by knockout or something in the first round, I hope that they don't get rid of Curtis Blades, but it's to the back of the queue for him, certainly, and a humiliating loss if he loses this one.
So right now, he loses this one and gets cut, man. Expect a whole lot of heavyweights in contender series these next seasons.
Yeah, we had 2 guys. Who was the other guy that got cut that was like a 145er? The
Stamen?
French guy.
No, not Stamen.
No, there was a Taylor Lapilus got cut as well.
That is a wild one. What the fuck?
Got cut.
Why would they cut him? Did something happen? Because he won his last fight, right?
I know, and they use him in France every time they're over there.
You know what? I'm wondering if it was just like, we're just not going to re-sign you because you look silly with the haircut. Like, I wonder.
Yeah, and he did have some fight fans were saying that he had some decision wins in a row and maybe wasn't the most necessarily entertaining fighter. But
in that case, go tell Movsar Evloev to pick it up or go home. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Movsar Evloev, who Jake Noacker, our own Cageside Press, interviewed earlier this week. Catch that one out as well if you guys want. But moving along the card down here, we have a flyweight contest between 2 very potentialed prospects here. Joshua Van did lose that contest to Charles Johnson of last year, but rebounded with a victory himself. Ria Taisura is a very interesting Japanese prospect who I think is going to want to take this fight to the ground against the powerful Joshua Van, who marches forward. Who do you got in this one, Eddie? And do you think Van maybe gets back in the win column here and gets on a win streak after, tripping up against Charles Johnson last year? We stand
Joshua Van because he's a dog. Oh, my God. Is there a bigger dog in any division in the UFC? All right. This guy he's not Cowboy Cerrone, give me anybody anytime dog, right? That's a different kind of dog. That's a I want a title, but I don't want a title. Now I want a title type of shit. No, Joshua Van just wants to chin motherfuckers. He don't even care. You know, how many times have we seen this guy step up on short notice and then win? Like, Joshua Van's the truth. Yeah, wake up, motherfucker. He's the truth. The only reason he's not a bigger superstar is he's not calling out this guy and that guy, calling this guy a bitch and talking about this other guy's old lady.
Oh, he's respectful.
He's very respectful, and he will chin your ass. Like, he will fuck you up and then shake your hand up. So, hey, man, good fight, dude. You all right? You good? Want to get some bite to eat? He's that dude. I love Joshua Van. I want Joshua Van to fight every weekend if he could. He's a fun dude, and he's a good guy. But Ray's a dog, too. Don't sleep on this little Japanese dude.
Just won the UFC Japan road to the UFC.
People, poo-poo that bullshit because it's it's not America, blah blah. Okay, so the fuck what? Do you guys not remember Takanori Gomi? Do you not remember Kyoji Origuchi? Do you not remember all these like Asian fighters that came out of these?
Look at Tatsuro Taira right now.
Tatsuro Taira, okay, fucking Song Yadong, making it happen for China. Like, start paying attention. Just because these guys don't speak English super clear and aren't running around New York and Los Angeles and shit like that, don't mean they're not killers. Those guys are killers. All right. I have to mention Japan is one of the. Japan and China are two. I would say Japan even more, I think. And again, I wish we had Jay Anderson on the show because he could definitely correct me on this. But Japan is one of the most focused on martial arts countries ever. They had an entire fighting force.
They're not doing basketball in school. They're not doing. I mean, they might play baseball. I think that's a big sport over there as well. But it's not like they're doing football or soccer.
When the Dodgers are giving you billions of dollars or whatever it is, and just deferring it till you're almost dead. Yeah, I'll be trading Mikey. Shoot, as soon as I saw that contract, I'd say, "Hey, kid, let's go outside and hit the ball. Come on."
Yeah. Hey, you ever watch the Little League World Series? Those Chinese Taipei teams win a lot of the time. But
they're good and disciplined.
Going back into this contest here, I think that the real story for Taisura is the step up in competition, right? So in his debut with the UFC after winning that tournament, he fought Carlos Hernandez, who is a respected contender, but that's not the same as Joshua Van, who's already competed against top 15 guys like Charles Johnson and picked up wins over guys like Cody Durden, who I rate pretty well due to his wrestling skills. Cody Durden's one of those guys that only loses to legit guys. He'll go in there and lose to Makayev, but then he'll rattle off 4 wins in a row and then lose to Van. He's one of those competitive guys who you keep around and is a gatekeeper, for lack of a better term, but he's a good competitive fighter, and Joshua Van was able to get a win over him recently. I'm going to go with Joshua Van in this one by points. I think that on the feet, he's going to have an advantage, and he's going to be too strong for Taisura to take down.
I think it'll be a decision as well for Joshua Van for the same point you did. I think Tatsura is going to fight Saruya is going to have a very difficult time keeping him down. He might take him down, but keeping him down is going to be a mother. So we'll see. So
moving on to a middleweight division contest that I think could end up being fight of the night, Eddie. We have Bruno Ferreira, knockout artist from Brazil, 12-2, taking on former professional kickboxer and technical striker Armen Petrosyan, who's 9-4. Now, Petrosyan did just get knocked out by Shara Magomedov in what was one of the knockouts of the year last year with the double spinning back fist. Why don't I correct myself there? That was an incredible. I don't think he obviously saw that coming. He is a good striker himself, has struggled against grapplers, in the past when he's been in those matchups. That was really the first time we've seen him get bested on the feet. But Bruno comes forward with heavy hands, man. He's like a small Vitor Belfort. He's trying to come in there and get you out of there in 1 or 2 rounds. He's not here for a long time, but he's here for a good time. Do you think Bruno gets him out of there in the first round, or do you think Armen Petrosyan kind of uses his technical kickboxing to get the decision win?
Armen better use the technique and keep Bruno away from his chin. If he doesn't, Bruno's going to jack his shit. Like, Bruno is sometimes, like, most of the time I would say he's actually kind of reckless when he goes in there like that. So no, I think I'm with you. We're either gonna get fight of the night or knockout of the night right here. And I'm willing to say Bruno's gonna be the one getting it.
Yeah. And when we saw Bruno, I mean, both of these guys have had the same problem. They struggled with guys on the ground. We saw Abus Magomedov submit Bruno Ferreira. And if I think that we saw Rodolfo Vieira defeat Armen Petrosyan by submission himself. So, I mean, these are two guys who are going to stand and trade. You don't have to worry about the other guy taking you down. So I think this is going to be an all-out action fight. I'm going to take Bruno Ferreira in this one. I think that he's going to come forward here. Actually, strike that. I'm taking Armen Petrosyan by decision. Bruno is going to come forward and try and get him out in the first round, but I think that Armen is so embarrassed from that last loss that he's going to come back here and fight really competitively. I wanted to pick against him as I spoke there, but I just don't see Armen Petrosyan getting chinned twice in a row, and if he does, it's obviously, I believe, the end of his UFC run. So Armen Petrosyan's career might be on the line, and he's got a chance to win himself by knockout this weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm going Bruno, dude. Bruno's gonna get it. Bruno's gonna get it.
Yeah, it's gonna be an entertaining contest for sure. Fight fans.
Could be fighting that, like you said. Could be fighting.
That's what I'm saying. It could be.
Yeah.
Is there another fight on this card on the prelims that you're really interested in? I am interested in Carlos Leal. I want to see him again. I thought Carlos Leal actually beat Rinat Fakhretdinov in his debut. We've seen him in the PFL go on title runs, got to a semifinal or final over there in their tournament. He is a knockout artist from Brazil, very athletic guy, somebody who could have been a professional athlete in a different sport had he grown up here in America. Very strong and talented individual. He's taking on Alex Morono, who I don't necessarily rate that highly, but Alex is good everywhere. He's good on the feet, not great. He's good on the ground, not great. But he as well struggles against some of these guys that are elite level talents. I'm going to take the physicality of Carlos Leal in this one by knockout.
I'm going Carlos as well, honestly. But in terms of like a prelim that I'm interested in, the very first one,
Casaneda and Gutierrez.
I'm so sick of Gutierrez taking like, how do you put it? He's a tough dude, right? But he doesn't even use it that much. You know what I mean? Like he seems like if you hurt him, he'll take a step back. So I'm sorry, I don't even want to ramble. Give me an aggressive Chris Gutierrez against Josh Castaneda, who's taking this fight on days' notice. Okay, For John, massive opportunity. You're not supposed to win this at all. You're playing with house money. You're probably getting paid pretty decent. All right, so hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I think that Chris Gutierrez is going to have a point to prove in this one. Former top 10 ranked fighter himself. He's going to want to prove that he's a step above these guys like John Castaneda who haven't been to where he is yet. 21-5 for Chris Gutierrez, taking on 21-7 John Castaneda. That is one to tune in early for the first fight of the UFC prelims. But Eddie, we can talk a little bit about the UFC fight night from last weekend. That's going to conclude our UFC 313 coverage, fight fans. And we think it's going to be a great Eddie, actually, I do want to get your thought of a card rating here. So out of 10, what are we going to give this? How excited are you for this card? I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that the top 3 fights are fantastic. After that, we do have some good prelim fights and showcase fights as well. But I'm going to give it a 7.5. What about you?
I'm gonna go 7.5 as well. I mean, the top 3 fights are great. The main event's awesome. The co-main event is dog stepped in again. Short notice, we stepped in, and then the Bobby Green fight and the Joshua Wade fight for me, the fights I'm gonna watch. But it is a very top heavy card, right? So in terms of prelims, not awesome. In terms of main card, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I think so as well. You can tune in and see that on Saturday, fight fans. And this one will be from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So an American pay-per-view card. But we do have some news to talk about from last week. There was a lot of headlines come out of the fight night card between Manel Kape and Asu Amabayev in the main event. I touched on it briefly before Eddie popped in. Amabayev got poked in the eye. No one really saw this until after the fight. We all thought that this was just another Manel Kape showcase knockout, get back in the win column. But when we watched the replay, Eddie, it was blatantly obvious that Asu Amabayev got raked in the eye on multiple occasions, leading to the finish there. It's kind of unfortunate considering we had an eye problem surrounding the Henry Cejudo main event the week before as well. What did you make of the main event? And then I kind of want to get your opinion on the gloves because we had a glove issue last year where the UFC switched gloves and then they went back to the new old gloves. Do you think that's a problem and kind of having the same old problems with the same old gloves?
First of all, folks, if the UFC or anybody else starts talking about fighter safety, ignore them. They don't give a shit. All right. They went back to the old. Now, this is not me bitching about it. They just me pointing out. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out because they did switch it back,
Right. But it's like fighter safety, I'll say shit. And then it's like, oh, we don't have as many knockouts. Oh shit, people aren't watching. Fuck it, go back. And it worked. You get knockouts again. Have you seen his eye?
It looked worse than Henry's.
Here you go. Oh shit! Stupid ass computer. There it is.
Fuck. Oh my god!
Shout out MMA Mania's Alex Mahinan. If you don't think that eye poke helped Manel Kape, y'all tripping. I don't give a shit if it was near the end of the fight. That was a blatant. That looked so damn blatant. I mean, he was staring at him when his fingers
went up. He was like clawing at him.
Dude, it's one of those things where, and some fighters joke around about it, and sometimes I can't even tell they're joking anymore. Some fighters are like, well, eye pokes and fouls and shit like that, and it's a tool that they use because they know
Yeah.
refs aren't going to take points, clearly.
The experienced ones I feel like can get away with it where we don't see. Like, remember when Michael Chandler fought Charles Oliveira and then the 5th round, he hurt him and then was landing shots to the back of his head, like 5-6 shots? It's like, oh, we don't think that Michael Chandler would do something like that. He's been in the octagon and the Bellator cage 30 times. He's a great competitor in a class act. Why would he? But because it's Chandler, he's allowed to do that because we have that preconceived notion that he is a good guy. Similar thing here. We're like, oh, Manel Kape, he's a great striker. He finishes people on the feet. This is just what Manel Kape does. But then we look at it and the guy's eyes completely torched. So I don't know. It's like you're saying, the experienced fighters can kind of get away with it sometimes when maybe the unexperienced fighters can't.
Michael Chandler fish hooked on Dustin Poirier looking for the neck, looking for the finish. All right. Like, how many examples do you need to see before you call someone dirty?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. Come on. Daniel Cormier, eye pokes like a motherfucker. John Jones is one of his main tools. It's a tool these guys use because they know, guess what? At least on the very first one, you can get your money's worth because these refs are not going to take a point. They clearly showed that against Song Yadong. How many fouls did Henry need to get hit with before Herzog was like, all right, hang on a fucking second. We're not doing that shit no more.
Yeah.
Come on, get out of here with that.
3 consecutively in 2 rounds.
It should not have to be, all right, well, you got a nut shot and you got an eye poke. I guess it's 1-1. I guess if you get another one of the same thing. No, it's a foul. It's a fucking foul. All right. If I set a screen on you in basketball and I'm moving, that's a foul on me. If I reach in when you have the ball, guess what? It's still a fucking foul on me. I know it's a different sport, but that's my point is this: a foul is a fucking foul.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get this shit together. Let's get it. I want to see personally. I want to see is that you get 1. That's it. On the next one, I don't give a shit what it is. Point. Let's get serious about this shit. Let's stop this stuff now. All right, because now Manel Kape's gonna fight for a title off a clearly raked eye. Okay, and Henry Cejudo, y'all can bitch all you want to. He could have fucking just been tough and kept going. He couldn't see. All right. And clearly he tried to keep going. All right. Because Henry Cejudo is a smart motherfucker. He's a smart dude. His team, he's a smart guy. I don't know his team, but I know he's a smart guy. And Henry Cejudo could have been like, and honestly, probably should have been like, yeah, I can't continue. Instead of like, yeah, let me see if I can get
during the 5. Yeah. We talked about that last week. We thought his competitive spirit kind of, ended up biting him,
it bit him, but so much shit talk's been said since then. It's been irritating the fuck out of me. People are trying to shut up. Look, I get it. His persona is he's a douche. I get it. I understand it. All right. Yeah. But he got you to care. All right. Start treating this like you treat the WWE wrestlers. John Cena just had the most epic heel turn of all fucking time. And people were like, fuck yeah, he's an asshole now. Let's go. He's a douche. I love it. Have the same energy. Dumb fuck. God damn.
Eddie, would you ever believe that Gervonta Tank Davis and John Cena would get booed in the same night?
That was awesome. That was awesome. I like Gervonta. Here's the thing. I'm one of the few that don't mind Gervonta Davis being such an asshole. I don't mind it. He's in boxing.
They did not like when he said he got grease in his eye from his hair. They were all over him when they heard that.
He took a knee because he couldn't see out of his eye. Yeah. Oh, my bad. I didn't know I couldn't do that. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Sir.
Eddie, could you imagine what John McCarthy or like Dan Miragliotta would have done if he called the timeout? They'd have just called the fight. Because that's what they do. That's what they do in the UFC. So I wish I could talk to some like boxing guy and understand why didn't Steve Willis take a point for him calling timeout at least? He could have called a stop to the contest, but or called in a knockdown when he took the knee. But when Steve messed up and didn't call it a knockdown, he could have taken a point for him calling a timeout in the middle of the contest as well. So I don't know. That was confusing me.
They're reviewing it now, right? Will they actually do anything? Because I don't believe that.
It might go to a no contest.
It basically was the fucking.
I know they can't. I don't think they can reverse a win, but
I'm just glad that the kid got paid something. Shit.
Yeah, and he's probably going to get a rematch and get the biggest bag of his career. In the rematch.
Better, but this time Gervonta Davis knows what he's fucking with, and he's going to come out like a dog.
I know. Yeah.
He's going to knock out poor boy, but at least poor boy gets paid twice.
Yeah, Lamont Roach, great performance by him last weekend. I actually had him winning that fight, but unfortunately the knockdown was not scored. But getting back to our bread and butter, the UFC Vegas fight night, we had Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez in the co-main event. We were ragging on it, but it ended up being actually an entertaining contest for as long as it lasted. Marquez came out there, hurt Brundage early, and then Brundage came back and got Marquez out late. Eddie, I talked about it briefly before you got on. I had a little bit of a problem with Mark Smith. This is the second time that I've seen him come in an inch closer to a fighter, not even giving them room to really move around. Like, he gets so close to these guys that he's making the decision for himself. I thought that Marquez had a hand up. He was obviously getting hit, but he's getting hit on the glove. And it wasn't like he was flat out stretchered on the ground, taking unanswered punishment. Maybe 3 or 4 more, and Brundage would have had a more violent win. But I thought that Julian Marquez, after he hurt Cody Brundage, should have been given that same leash when he got hurt himself by Mark Smith.
Yeah, I don't know. First of all, I'll tell you what. In high school, I played varsity basketball, right? And it was one of those things where it was like I was one of the. I'm old school with like the Barkley type of bat. Like, I got the rebound, the elbows are coming out, kinds of shit. I used to get talked to all the time. It got to the point where refs would like be like right behind me, right, and they would get really close. And they'd be like, oh, watch those elbows. I cracked 2 or 3 refs in the face with my elbows. And I was like, I didn't know. I was a kid, so you couldn't blame me, right? But, I mean, I did it on purpose. Fuck them. But still, that's one of those things where it's like, hey, fuck around and find out, Mark. These are trained killers out here, not fucking around. You're going to hit with the elbow one time. We're going to see Mark Smith get dropped one time by accident or not.
What was the other? I was trying to remember what the other contest was that he did the same thing. He literally crept in to a point where it was like he's on top of the guy.
He couldn't do anything, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a great ref. He's made great decisions in the past, but recently I don't think that he's been quite on top of it.
I think a lot of these refs. I mean, if you look at the way Herb Dean works, okay, Herb Dean does a UFC, and then he'll fly to Thailand to do a 1 championship card, or vice versa, right? Like, some of these guys need a fucking vacation. Like, if you start having these iffy these iffy fights where you go in there kind of doing weird shit. If I'm the commissioner, I'm like, all right, cool, man. Just like you do for fighters that fight and get hurt, 3 months suspension. Go have a vacation. Not in a bad way suspension. Just go chill out. Do no reffing for 3 months.
Yeah.
Chill out. Now, again, this is what these guys make money off of, but we got to keep these guys fresh. They got to do their job right. This is my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And it wasn't the worst stoppage I've ever seen in the world, but I thought that Julian Marquez deserved a little bit more time there to defend himself.
Oh, that being said, Julian Marquez loves to drop the ball every time. He dropped it with Miley Cyrus, and he dropped it in this fight, and whatever else.
I mean, he gets guys hurt, and
Julian's a bad dude. He's never going to be a top guy.
Yeah, it might be the killer instinct, but neither of these guys necessarily are.
Him and who's the cat from Philly? He got mad because we didn't ask him anything about the Eagles. Jake would know who the fuck this is. God damn it, Petrosky.
Andre.
To me, Marquez and Petrosky are like interchangeable.
They look the same. They could be each other's doppelgangers.
They fight the same way. Well, not same way, but they to me, their fights give me the same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. They're both kind of Julian's an all right striker. Andre's a above average grappler. But I get what you're saying there. But one of the fights you wanted to talk about was Nasrat Hasprat and Esteban Ribovics.
Bro.
This was a very controversial contest. I'll let you give your side of the story and spiel on this one, and I'm going to go look at the Verdict MMA scorecards to see how the worldwide scoring went. This was really close. We did have Ribovics outland Hasprat. I gave off the striking numbers earlier. I think it was here we are, 149 to 135. There was 1 takedown landed, but outlanded him in significant strikes and damage throughout the fight. So how did you see that one, Eddie? And did you really have a problem with that decision?
I can't call it a robbery because it was that close of a fight, and both guys did really well. And the numbers alone, right? But the damage I felt was suffered way more by Nasrat. I think he got cracked way more. I think he got beat up way more. I think the damage, if you look at both men, I think most of the damage came from Nasrat. But again, it's one of those things where you can't really be mad at it. I'm just irritated because I love watching Esteban fight, and I would love to see him in those prime time matchups at 155. Like, that fight was El Hoover at 306 or Noche UFC, whatever they're calling it. God damn, that was wild.
Yeah.
Dude, and Daniel's an impossible guy to hurt and finish. And he didn't finish him, but man, he had Daniel running laps around the fucking cage trying to get away from him. That was a hell of a fight. Nasrat's a tough guy, but the next, I I'd rather see Esteban in those higher profile fights than Nasrat. Now Nasrat's going to get a couple, and we'll wait and see what he has. But again, super close fight. Totally get it. I had it for Esteban.
Yeah, and to your point for having it for Esteban, verdict scorecards, 90% of the users had rounds 2 and 3 scored for Esteban. Now, 98% of the users did have round 1 scored for Nasrat Hasparat. So it seemed like there was, definitive rounds to everybody that watched. Nasrat the first, the other 2 for Ribovics. But I believe that Sal D'Amato was the dissenting scorer in the final score, but for Nasrat Hasparat in this one. But
man, the Suns get up 30 points in the first quarter, plenty, and they lose the game by 15 every time. It does not matter how you start. That first round meant shit. That rounds 2 and 3, Esteban put in that work, and he should have won that fight.
Well, Eddie, we had another split decision just the fight before, and I really enjoyed this contest as well. Haider Emil over William Gomez. I did favor Haider Emil in this contest. William Gomez tried to do what he always does. He tried to fight from the outside, use the length, use the jab, leg kicks, and try and outpoint Haider Emil. But the problem is Gilbert Melendez has this kid moving forward at a pace and pressure that we really have not seen at featherweight in a while. This guy doesn't have necessarily knockout power to get you out of there, in one punch. But Haider Emil can get through length of taller opponents, like unlike a lot of people that I've ever seen. He made William Gomez in this one fight off the back foot against the fence for like almost 15 minutes. It seemed like Gomez had his back to the cage at all times. He used some good straight punches at times to catch Haider Emil, but it seems like Haider has an iron chin and determination to walk forward on anybody. What do you make of Haider Emil as a prospect, and do you have him winning too?
I had him winning for sure. I hate to say that I was right about Gomez, overrated as fuck. People get mad at me for me saying that. I'm like, no, he's overrated. Like, if you give him someone that's aggressive against him, he freaks the fuck out, and he's literally striking, running backwards.
He's backpedaling the whole time.
The whole fight. In what fucking world is that a close fight? If you're backpedaling the whole time, trying to survive, right? While you got Dominic Cruz on steroids over here trying to fuck you up, like, come on, dude. Like, Gomez can't fight like that. Haider's always looked like Dom Cruz to me. Like, especially in this picture, it looks exactly like Dom Cruz.
It's the haircut.
It's the haircut, yeah, and the way the look on his face and everything just reminds me of Dom Cruz. But anyway, which by the way, congratulations on retirement, dude. That was fucking. I hate the way it happened, but it is what it is.
Yeah, why are they doing it in front of no fans? They could have done it this weekend.
Did you catch Stipe's retirement video?
Yeah, it was like a montage on going into a commercial break at an age.
It was like a 4 in the fucking morning for the
that was the China card, wasn't it?
It was either the China card or it was the Saudi Arabia card, but it was one of those. But it was like early in the morning. I barely saw. I was like, what? I was half asleep trying to type and shit, and I'm over here like, what the fuck? And I got irritated because I was like, no, dude, that's an American fucking legend. Do it here at a pay-per-view. Bring the guy out to a fight.
Yep.
Now, who gives a shit if he's gonna have? He'll know we're doing it. So, the fuck, why? Why are you doing Dom Cruz at the Apex? That guy's a legend. Fucking Christ, I get it, but at the same time, it's just dumb to me. I wish they had a little more tact with that. But either way, this fight, no, dude, Haider Emil's a dog. Now, I hate to say this, because shout out to Gil Melendez. I got hooked up and got to go train over there for a little bit years ago. And I know they moved locations; they're not in the same spot anymore. But in your training center, dope spot to go. Bunch of killers. This little purple belt, the one that I roll with, comes up. You want to roll? Yeah, sure, man. We slap bump, and he goes to the end, and I go, say what? What do you mean to the end, motherfucker? I'm here on vacation, dog. My family's picking me up. Like,
I'm a father.
The fuck, bro. And we went, and we went till someone tapped me. Cool, fair enough. But either way, great fucking place to train. I would like to see Haider Emil go somewhere else too. Cross train somewhere else. Not just with Gil, but somewhere else where they're not, because Gil is that old school scrap pack guy that just go forward all the time.
He fights like Gil. He moves forward just like Gil, man.
And it did not work that well for Gil, and it does not work that well for guys in this era where you have to be able to be more technical than that, and be able to have a defense. Haider Emil does not have a defense. Haider Emil is like, my defense is my better. It's offense. My defense is offense.
It's his chin and will, basically.
I'm LeBron James coming down the fucking lane at 260 pounds, 6'8". Good luck stopping me, bitch. I'm gonna get this layup, and
that is how he fights. He forces you to make a decision. You're either gonna fight how I want, or I'm gonna steamroll you. And
exactly what it is. And so
he changes the pace of fights, which is kind of interesting as well. Somebody like Gomez, who, like I mentioned, he kickboxes from the outside. That's how he wins all his contests. When you're able to shut that down and make that guy fight at your game, I mean, that says a little bit of something about you too.
This style works with the guys he's fighting now. That would not work if Max Holloway was still 145 and he got up there. That will not work against
Topuria or Evlov.
Topuria, now 55 or anything, but it won't work against those guys.
Yeah,
they're not scared of you. Okay,
Eddie, who would you have in a contest between Hyder Emil and Gene Silva?
Oh Jesus, Gene Silva, but I would love
that would be a war.
Hyder, for the love of God, get on a win streak, like an 8-win streak, and get me that fight, dude. Holy shit! And forget it. Put that on the co-main event of a pay-per-view, or even for the belt. If Silva becomes champion, please make this fight one day.
Could you imagine it in like a fight night at the Apex where you can hear every shot?
I would love it, but as you saw, who was it? The TKO guy came out and said, he said, no one can really tell the difference between the Apex and the arenas. And by the way, you fucking weirdos actually got upset about that. All right. Y'all realize he's fishing for the reaction? God damn, guys, wake up. All right. Here's the thing. So he came out and said basically that no one can tell the difference. From home, they can't tell the difference. And all these clowns coming out like, yo, you can fucking tell, can't hear the crowd. First of all, who gives a shit about the crowd if you're watching from home? For real. I don't understand people getting all pissy about the crowd not being there. If you're watching from home. Well, it takes away from this. Dude, you're too busy bitching about the commentary to hear the goddamn crowd. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I do kind of like some of the crowds that, like, here's my thing. In America, we don't really have a crowd that is like a European crowd, right? So when we go to Bellator goes to Ireland, or the UFC goes to the United Kingdom or France, they have like they yell in the stands and they're all drinking and having a good time. Everybody in America like has their own agenda when they go to the fight. They're going with their girlfriend or they're getting drunk with their buddies or whatever, and they're betting on the fights. It's not necessarily the same thing. I don't think that the crowd reactions that we get here in America are necessarily on par with some of the other places that they necessarily go internationally or for pay-per-views. So I understand what he's saying to one extent, but for the fighters, I would counter argument to him with this. Why am I risking my life in front of 200 people?
Fair.
That's the only thing that I would say if I was one of the fighters. Why am I risking my life in front of 200 people? I'm a prize fighter. And
100%.
That's the only thing I would have to say for, the upper management at UFC for.
I'll say this, okay, in terms of European crowds, which by the way are way better than American crowds. All right, fucking cry me a river. I could give a shit. European crowds, you know what? I'll say this: most foreign crowds, 1,000 times better than American crowds. All right,
even Japanese.
Eat it, motherfuckers. Okay, that's 100% true. Okay, that is you go take Paddy Pimblett to the UK and don't get a ole crowd chant going. Go take him to him and Molly to Manchester. Go take back in the day.
They only had guys like Ross Pearson. You remember when they would go to the UK and they'd have Darren Till, Ross Pearson, and Brad Pickett, and the place would be packed.
You know what? And they get chants going for their guys. You know when we get a chant here? Okay, USA. He's fighting not American. Okay, USA. Except he doesn't like the politics. I'm not saying shit. That's how stupid we are in this fucking place. Like, dude, if you're gonna cheer for the Americans, goddamn cheer for the Americans. Let's go. You're gonna cheer for Dustin Poirier. Do a diamond, something. All right, but don't sit here thinking that it actually means anything for your ass to be in the fucking arena. Mm-hmm. It does not mean anything. Okay, because no one supports like, dude, how many times have we seen American fighters go on podcasts or interviews going like, man, and they're fighting in a foreign spot, and like, man, that crowd was savage, dude. They were rooting for him. I couldn't hear shit. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. That was crazy. And dude, many fighters, Chad Mendes was one of them, said, man, I wish Americans would actually back their American fighters up. Okay, stop playing like it matters if your ass is in the arena. You don't give a shit. Stop it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Stop it. And then all you're doing is bitching about Joe Rogan and Dom Cruz and Michael Bisping said something I didn't like. And why does Daniel Cormier say this all the time? And the only one I like is Paul Felder, which, by the way, everyone loves Paul Felder. I love Paul Felder. He's a shit. Okay. But come on. Stop playing. Stop fucking playing. Either that or buy a ticket to the Apex. Go ahead. Do you really care that much?
The Apex tickets are expensive and stuff too.
They're insane.
I agree with what the sentiment with you're saying. If you guys want more, arena shows, you want these fight nights to come out of the Apex, you make them earn it. Basically, when they come to your city, you got to have a crowd that's lively and gives the UFC a reason to come back to your city. Yeah. You see it with Utah. Some of the crowds in Utah have been good, and in some other areas.
Not to mention, people bitch about every fucking card. They're bitching about the card this weekend. Oh, it's weak. It's trash. The only fight worth it is a main event. Okay, then don't watch, bitch. What the fuck?
When at the same time, Dana White goes in here and gets Fiziev to come in on short notice and fight one of the most dangerous guys in UFC history. No other commissioner in the entire world would do that. No other president in any other sport in the world would do that. If somebody came in, what happened with LeBron James? LeBron James didn't want to go to the All-Star game. Did they come sit here and make some call for, Anthony Davis, we know you're hurt, but do you want to come back for a week and just play in this one? They didn't do something like that to get people's attention. Dana knows that, he's willing to go places that other people aren't, and he gets the results for his company that other people wouldn't. So, I have a lot of, I give a lot of credit to the UFC for even keeping this card together this weekend.
I'll tell you this right now. This last weekend, we lost 4 fights. We had 10 fight card. Okay. Mm-hmm. Every prelim was a finish. Okay.
I know.
Every prelim was a finish. But before that, why did they even just cancel the whole fucking card? Can you imagine if they took this card to Kansas City? They took this card to Des Moines, Iowa. They took this card to fucking Tampa Bay or Fort Lauderdale, or whatever city, Orlando. Okay. Can you imagine paying the prices that these fights cost for the card this last weekend on paper alone? And hindsight 2020, obviously, it would have been awesome. Okay. But on paper alone, come on, dude. There's a reason the Apex is there. It's
and to that point, you got a mid-level seat last year in St. Louis, and the main event was Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. So it's like you're going to pay $250 to sit there and watch guys that are, and Derek Lewis is a former title challenger, but past their prime. But we did have 2 Americans get knocked out in back-to-back fights before this, Eddie. Sam Patterson able to get Danny Barlow out of there, taking his undefeated record, and Austin Lane getting his lights completely shut off by Mario Pinto in one of the biggest overhand rights we've seen in recent memory. Which one of these knockouts were you more impressed with? Patterson's not necessarily known as a striker, but Mario Pinto laid Austin Lane flat out.
I was more bummed out about the Danny Barlow knockout. All right. Austin Lane used to play he was on the Chiefs for a bit, so I don't feel bad for him at all. But I'm just saying. I'm joking. Shout out Farzim Vasugian with his Chiefs podcast. But it's my boy. But no, dude, I thought Danny Barlow was going to get that win. I thought Danny Barlow was going to fuck him up. And when Patterson put him down, I'm like, and then the way he did it, all right, he sends Barlow to the fence. Barlow's all kinds of out of it, and just a perfectly timed was at the right hand right to the face. I'm like, dude, Sam Patterson is that dog. That was fun, and he earned whatever he gets next. Hopefully, it's a big fight. He earned every bit of it with that knockout. That was sick.
Did you hear Barlow's coaches in the corner going, he's scared out of his mind. He's scared out of his mind. And Danny just keeps coming forward on him and pressuring him. But Sam got out of the way of a big punch, landed one of his own, and then finished the fight. It was pretty incredible. Life
comes at you fast. 1 second you think everyone's scared of you. The next second ain't no one scared of you.
Yeah. He made him eat the words in the corner there really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Mario Pinto, quick on him. What do you think the potential is after one fight? We've seen guys, stumble against Austin Lane like Robelis to Spain, but Pinto kind of struggled in that first round, but he landed the home run punch and got him out of there.
Pinto will be a fan favorite within the next 2 fights if he fights like he did on Saturday. All right. How many heavyweights do we have right now that can legitimately go in and knock somebody out and actually try to do it? Not many. Not fucking many. Even Johnny Bones, right? Johnny Bones takes his time and all that, and then beats up Stipe at the body, finishes that fight. Yeah, great, cute, cool.
Pavlovich is the only one that really comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly. Because Pavlovich is the dude's hands are lightning fast for a massive human being. How the fuck? Anyway, but most heavyweight fights these days are snoozers. Like we're way past Cain Velasquez, we're way past Verdun, we're way past JDS. Dos Santos going into a fight and coming out decision was the most unlikely of ways his fights ever went. They did go that way a couple times, but most of the time he was putting someone to sleep. Mario Pinto's the next, the next guy to come out and try to knock people out, I think.
That was kind of Junior Dos Santos overhand right. Like Junior would kind of windmill his punches as well. That's a good call there on what that looked like.
Beautifully timed. And Austin Lane did not see it coming. And that was game. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Eddie, we do have some exciting news coming up. The PFL heavyweight and light heavyweight tournaments did get announced. The light heavyweight tournament, I was able to interview Sullivan Caule, who will join the likes of Phil Davis, amongst others, in that 205-pound tournament. Sullivan had just recently been married, so in the next 2 days, you guys can go catch that interview on the Cageside Press YouTube.
Tomorrow morning, folks.
We also had an interview with Linton Vassell, who is going to be a member of the heavyweight tournament, which will be announced tomorrow by the PFL. Linton actually accidentally broke who he's fighting to me. It will be a rematch. That's all I will tell you guys. It will be a rematch of a contest that he had in the past. But Linton Vassell and Sullivan Caule, we've got interviews coming out with them this week. So, is there any other thing you want to – oh, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Sorry, just a quick story of Sullivan Caule, because one of my favorite stories of fight coverage I've ever had. Bellator here in Arizona, I forgot the number. I'm sorry, I've been to like 2 or 3 of them here. But I think it was the first one I went to it. Shout out Dave Noseworthy was there with me. He's over at Shirt Dog now. But I'm sitting at Media Row, all right, and there's a group of people behind me. And Sullivan Caule is fighting. Sullivan finished the fight by knockout, I think, and or TKO. All right, and someone's behind me doing this, 2 hands on my back as hard as they can. Sullivan's mom. So I look back and she goes, I'm so sorry. That's my son. And I'm like, I totally get it. You do you. I ain't even mad at you. Go do your thing. That was awesome. And she was like, oh my God, freaking out. His whole family's behind me. She's smacking me and shit. I'm like laughing my ass off. And that was a cool fucking moment to see, he's his mom. Like, come on, man. Like she's scared shitless. He's a fucking cool guy.
Sure. I couldn't imagine that as a mom, seeing your son get punched in. I mean, that's a lot.
He's a giant human being. He'll be a heavyweight in 5 minutes.
That's what I asked him.
Don't worry about it.
The PFL wasn't really telling us whether what weight division these guys are going to be in. Obviously, Vassell is a heavyweight, but we've seen Sullivan at light heavyweight, and then he took a year off because of an ACL injury. I didn't know if he gained weight and was going to go do the heavyweight tournament as well. So I had to ask him before the interview which one this is going to be at, but he did get back down to 205 for this.
He's not the most cut 205er. He's got a little bit of flat tone, but either way, like there's room for him to be a cut 205er, or there's room for him to put a little more muscle and go to 65. But either way, high level wrestler.
Yeah, he is. And maybe that's one of the things we talked about. Maybe his style is going to cause some people some problems in this tournament. But one big piece of news that kind of broke last week when we got off air, we're going to have Gene Silva fight Bryce Mitchell coming up at featherweight. We were just talking about Gene Silva and have been mentioning him on podcasts previously. He is right now, Eddie, I think he's the brightest prospect we have in the UFC. Hamzat Chimaev and Shavkat Rakhmonov are past the stages of being prospects. They're almost title contenders. This guy is still on the way up, improving himself. Gene Silva taking on Bryce Mitchell. But one of the things that MMA Guru and other commentators have been talking about is that Gene Silva hasn't really faced a grappler like Mitchell before, hasn't really faced a wrestler. Are we going to see something, are we going to see something from Bryce Mitchell here that is, a problem stylistically for Gene Silva?
Kyle Ohio. He's got Batman in his corner. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
The game plan will be there.
Kyle who can take him down. That's true.
Yeah. Kyle's going to run in there. No, I think Kyle's going to have.
No, I meant like a sparring. Yeah.
Oh, no. They're going to do. I guarantee Silva's going to be doing a heavy wrestling and jiu-jitsu camp.
Yeah.
But nothing that Bryce has done in the last 2 or 3 fights tells me he can beat Sean Silva at all. Especially after that Emmett knockout. I mean, he got knocked out by Emmett and woke up thinking he's in the Third Reich, for fucking crying out loud. What is this shit? You know what I'm saying? And then my favorite part about this fight being announced, this matchup being made, is the clap back from Silva, because Bryce is like, there's only one Lord. It ain't you, fool. Blah, shut the fuck up. All right? and John Silva's like, okay, but I'm going to beat you until you see the earth is round. I fell fucking over. If you guys don't know, Bryce Mitchell's a little fucking nutty. Okay, so
flat earther,
every conspiracy you could think of, and then he put his foot in his mouth in the first episode of his podcast.
You say he's having number 2. You hear him say, "Hey, 2 million people watched the first one. They must have liked it. I'm going to have episode 2."
He's not doing that, is he?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I think he has to find a new co-host, but he announced on his Instagram last week he's doing episode 2.
That guy looks so mortified. And when Bryce is like, "Hey,
he's like, my career's over."
Dude, he's on there like, "Can I edit myself out of this shit? Fuck!" Like, there's no way you can't. There's no coming back from that. That other guy probably got just as bad as Bryce. And then either way, the delusion though is gonna be delusional. It is what it is. The fight alone, it's gonna be a lot of fun because Bryce Mitchell can still fucking fight. Right? If Bryce Mitchell can get through the striking, right? He can get in there. He can get a body lock, get some kind of trip takedown or something like that. Then we're gonna find out what John Silva has on the ground. I just don't think he's gonna be able to. I think Silva's gonna be a sniper and crack him a bunch of times, and he might even Josh him in his ass, send him right back to.
That's what I'm saying. The UFC
1940s.
might say, "All right, Bryce, we're not gonna cut you, but we're giving you the toughest matchup possible coming up next. Here's Gene Silva." So it's gonna be really interesting. So fight fans, you can tune in for UFC 313 pay-per-view this weekend on Saturday. We will be back next Tuesday breaking down everything from the pay-per-view card, talking all PFL and any breaking news that comes out over the weekend. He's Eddie and I'm Brett. Thanks for joining us, guys.